Prior to the lockdown of the CCP virus's epicenter in Wuhan, there were approximately 5 million people who reportedly left the city. Where did they go? Using a big data analysis method, a research team from the University of Southampton studied the travel patterns of nearly 5 million people traveling abroad from Wuhan before it was locked down. On March 23rd, state-run media reported that Italy's first 2 confirmed cases of infection were from a Chinese couple. They both recovered after being hospitalized for 49 days. The wife, Yamin, is a faculty member of Central China Normal University, which is located in Wuhan. They left Wuhan on January 22nd, a day before the city was locked down. The couple's symptoms began to manifest when they were already in Italy. These findings indirectly acknowledge that it was the Chinese couple who brought the epidemic to Italy. There was also a lady from Wuhan who was infected with the virus. She disguised her fever by taking medicine and made the trip to France. She boasted online about it while taking a photo of herself at a Michelin star restaurant. The first confirmed case in Japan was from a Chinese man in his 30s who had stayed in Wuhan for a few days during his trip to China before flying back to Japan. He also took pills to bring down his fever before boarding the airplane on January 6. On January 28th, Sina Finance reports confirmed cases outside China were predominantly transmitted by travelers from Wuhan. In fact, 5 million people left Wuhan before the regime imposed this lockdown policy. Commentator Tang Jingyuan believes that the CCP's concealment of the outbreak during its initial spread caused the world to miss the opportunity to contain the virus.
The communist regime did all it could to fully cover up the facts about the virus. That's the ultimate reason why this infection has spread so quickly in Wuhan, a city with a dense population. It also led to the spread of the virus to the rest of China and even the world, as there is a larger number of carriers and patients among the 5 million people who left Wuhan.
A post from an internet blogger describes the following. Assuming that 1% of the 5 million people from Wuhan traveled abroad, which would come out to 50,000 people. If the CCP virus, formerly known as COVID-19, has a disease evidence of 10%, there will be 5,000 Wuhan virus carriers outside China. Assuming each country takes 50 Wuhan patients based on the transmission potential R0 of 4 at the duplication rate of 14 days, there will be a minimum estimated 800 infections in a month. That alone would be scary.
This epidemic began in Wuhan. Wuhan is the epicenter. It's a fact you can't deny.
Researchers from the University of Southampton conducted a travel model network-based study and assessed the risk of the CCP virus's spread. In the article published on February 4th, it showed the analysis by using de-identified and aggregated mobile phone data, air passenger itinerary data, and case reports of nearly 60,000 travelers from Wuhan. Researchers did warn about the virus's further spread within China and the world.
Take the U.S. as an example. Data has shown that between January 10th and January 20th, around 6,000 people from Wuhan have entered the U.S. through the San Francisco International Airport in California and JFK Airport in New York. We could be certain that there were passengers affected with the virus. These people brought the virus into the U.S. The epidemic in the U.S. was imported from Wuhan. With regard to the origin of the virus, the CCP can't shrink off its responsibility for the pandemic.
On January 30th, there was a research article in the New England Journal of Medicine done by the Beijing CDC, Hubei CDC, and China's public health experts. It concluded that in Wuhan, human-to-human transmission among close contacts has occurred since the middle of December. But the regime delayed the announcement of human-to-human transmission until January 20th.
Since the worldwide outbreak of the CCP virus, the CCP hasn't shown any remorse or cares to reflect on its actions. The Chinese regime doesn't show any sense of guilt to the nations afflicted by the outbreak. It shamelessly boasts its authority and methods in the fight against the pandemic, and even arrogantly demands gratitude from the world. It is outrageous and disgusting that the CCP placed blame of the origin of the virus to other countries, like the US and Italy, through its systematic and planned propaganda and diplomacy.
During this time of global disaster and the transmission of the virus by 5 million travelers from Wuhan before the regime locked down the city on January 23rd, it already proves that it was there where the pandemic originated from. It was on January 19th when Wuhan CDC Director Li Gang insisted that the ineffectiveness of the new coronavirus is not strong and the epidemic can be prevented and controlled. Within a few days, the CCP pneumonia has spread worldwide as a result of these shameless lies. Thank you for joining me today. Make sure to like, subscribe, but most of all, share this program with friends and family to keep them informed. See you next time.